G'day mates, I'm an amateur historian, and I have a question for you. Do you read poetry? Well, if you do, can I introduce you to one of my favourites and the best portrayer of Australian bush life, Henry Lawson. I even have a small collection of his works. Hey, get the banjo filth out of here! Mr. Lawson shall be the subject of this video. What was his story, and what made his poems so much better than that made by Banjo Paterson? Henry Archibald Lawson was born on the 17th of June 1867 near Grenfell, New South Wales, Australia. The son of a Norwegian sailor and an active feminist, he struggled with deafness at age 9 and poverty and unhappiness plagued his family. At age 14 he left school to help his father as a builder. In 1884 he moved to Sydney, where the newspaper, The Bulletin, published his verse in 1887 to 88. In those years he worked for multiple newspapers, but also spent much time wandering. In this time he developed his pessimistic blend of pathos and irony that lent well to a realistic portrayal of bush life. Remember how Henry worked for the Bulletin newspaper? Well, there was another inferior writer over there, Banjo Paterson. They came to butt heads over the merits of living in the bush. While Lawson was well-travelled and had often visited rural Australia, Banjo Paterson was based in the city and thus had a horrid tendency to romanticise life in the bush. This started on the 9th of July, 1882, when Paterson published the insightful poem Borderland. And then, on the 23rd of the same month and year, Banjo retaliated with In Defence of the Bush. And with that provocation, it all spiraled out of control, involving other poets such as Edward Dyson. Henry Lawson was one of the most influential writers in Australian history. Alongside Banjo Paterson, he helped define Australia's perception of the bush. He shall stand beside the greats of Aussie history. If you enjoy hearing about interesting historical figures, please consider subscribing. Now I shall read you off one of my favourite of Lawson's poems, Eureka. Roll up Eureka's heroes on that grand old rush afar, for Lawler's gone to join you in the big camp where you are. Roll up and give him welcome, as such as only diggers can, for there he well battled for the rights of and of man. And there the bright golden land that lies beyond our sight, the record of his honest light shall be as mine is right. Here are many a bated mouth shall twitch and many tear be shed, and many grey old digger shall sigh to hear that Lawler's dead. But wipe your eyes, you old forsackers, and o'er the fields you roam. You no need weep at the passing digger going home. Now from the strange wild seasons past, from the days of golden strife, now here the roaring 50s comes a scene from Lawler's life. All gleaming amid the shafts of old gully, hill and flat, again I see the tents that form the camp at Ballarat. I hear the shovels and the picks in the air that is rife, with the cattles and cradles of all the sounds of digger's life. The clatter of wine glass broken, and the spinning of dig they go round. And then the signal to his mates the digger cries, "Below!" From many a busy pointing forge the sound of labour swells, from tinkling anvils is clear as civil bells. I hear broken English from the mouth of at least one, from every state and nation that is known beneath the sun, from the homely tongues of Scotland to the borough of Ireland blend, with the dialects of England from Berwick to Land's End. And the busy course that west is sent apart, a land of gulches have been immortalized by heart, a land where miner camps and blue smoke curl upwards, a land that give you powder and true miss up onto the world. The men from all the nations, new world and old, all side by side like brethren here, all delivering after gold. But after sudden warning cries are heard on every side, as closing around the field a ring of troopers ride. And so from its shameful scenes, the digger hunt begins, and the men are seized who are too poor for the heavy tax to pay, and they are chained as convicts there, dragged in gangs away, while in the eye of many a mate and menace scarcely hid. The digger's blood was so slow to boil, but scalded when it did. But now another match is held. Must the light charge? A digger murdered in the camp, his murderer at large. Roll up, the pregnant cry awakes the evening air, and angry faces surge around the speakers there. What are the sins that shall we see? What are sins should we be our outlet or class? Shall insult be on insult heap? Shall let these things go? And on roar the voices came the digger's answer, no! And the day vanished from the scene. Now the air of night can cool the blood that ebbed black back, leaves from blows in anger white. Lo, from the roofs of Bentley's Inn, the flame aims are reaching higher. They write revenge in the letters across the smoke-dimmed sky. And now the oppressed will drink no more humiliation's cup. Call out the troops, read martial law. The digger's blood is up. To arms, the cry is out. To arms if man thou art. Now from every pike a pole will find a tyrant's heart. Now Lawler comes to take the lead. The spirit does not lag. And down the rough diggers kneel beneath the digger's flag. And to the rising feet they swear, while rugged hearts beat high, to stand around their leader, and to conquer or to die. Around Eureka's stockade, now shades of night close fast. 300 sleep beside their arms, and 30 sleep their last. Around fair Melbourne town, sound of bells are born. They call the citizens up to prayer that fateful Sabbath morn. From there upon Eureka's hill, 100 miles away, the diggers' form lie white in still blood-stained clay. For the bells and diggers' death they also ring a knell. Now, for those gallant soldiers dead, who did their duty well, there's many a someone's heart that shall ache, and many a someone's care, for many a someone's darling lay cold, old and pallid there. And now in smoking ruins lie in huts and tents around. The digger's gallant flag is down and trampled in the ground. At the sight of murdered heroes, to the heart upon the road, 1,000 men are up in arms upon Creswick's road. 'Tis the men of Ballarat that will march upon the town, but not those diggers died, with their comrades may rejoice. For over the voice of tyrant is heard, the people's voice. It says, reform your rotten law, the diggers' wrongs make right, or else with them our brothers now will gather in the fight. And now before the triumphant flashes scenes that we follow last, the trials and the triumphs of the diggers' cause at last. 'Twas such stuff that men were made of that saw our nation born, and such as Lawlers were the men who lead footsteps on, and such men will be on such leaders to come, in the roll-up of Australians on some dark day yet to come.